We had our first pro-style college football contract holdout this week, and it did not end well for the player, Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. College football should turn their backs on him moving forward, right, to send a message. Or will a Big Ten team jump in and grab him for their new quarterback? Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below while you're watching. That way you'll never miss a single episode. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So our first college football holdout, just like the old NFL, right? Is the Big Ten going to get involved here? Plus, Julian Sayin held his own in the spring game for the Ohio State Buckeyes. We will get to that, Buckeye fans, and we'll have our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. But first, is college football turning its back on former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava? Or more so, should it turn their back on them? College football may want to decide to do that, actually, before this whole holdout thing gets this out-of-control sport even more out of control. But then again, maybe a Big Ten team that needs a quarterback will go ahead and pick this kid up. He is now available. Nico was on the list last season of the early Heisman hype that we like to talk about. A lot of people were watching him. He's a very talented athlete. It kind of faded as the year went on. Still, the Volunteers made the 12-team college football playoffs with him as their starting quarterback. And you Buckeye fans will recall the Buckeyes had no problems with him and the Volunteers in that playoff game. Blew them out, destroyed them. So fast forward to spring ball. Nico was not happy with his name, image, and likeness deal at Tennessee. And he started not showing up to meetings and in practice all of a sudden, much to everybody's surprise. That's right. You heard right. We just had our first official college football contract holdout. He was making around $2 million a year with his name, image, and likeness. Not bad. But other quarterbacks like Carson Beck, who left Georgia to go to Miami, he's getting $4 million. Well, Nico thought he should be getting $4 million. That's the new rate, right? For a good quarterback, for name, image, and likeness. And that's how much he and his agent wanted. And he wasn't getting it. So he decided to hold out. All of a sudden, last Friday, he was a no-show. And apparently, it took Josh Heupel, the head coach of the Vols, by surprise. That's not good. So by Saturday, I'm literally getting a bagel and a coffee. I'm in line in the TV scroll. Boom, he's gone. He's out of it. I'm like, whoa, that escalated fast. Just by Saturday, he's gone. Heupel in Tennessee announced, you know what? We're moving on in a different direction. And they kind of played it like it was a mutual decision, and he's just going to go on the transfer portal, and Tennessee's going to move on. But it was pretty abrupt. I think Josh Heupel just said, I'm not putting up with this. We're not being held hostage to name, image, and likeness deals and demands on the verge of the transfer portal opening up. Not going to do it. I got a football team to run here. We already took care of your name, image, and likeness before. We're moving forward. We're getting ready for a football season. Saw a lot of reaction on social media over the weekend. A lot of other coaches and programs are like, you know what? Good for Josh Heupel. It's not easy to tell your starting quarterback to hit the bricks. That's exactly what they did. Not going to put up with this nonsense anymore. We've got football teams to run. So, what we don't know exactly yet, had this been brewing over time since the season ended and, after weeks of some sort of stalemate, both sides decided to go their separate ways, or was this all of a sudden? Like all of a sudden during spring ball, Nico and his agent made some demands, and all of a sudden this thing turned quick. That's how it feels. That's how it feels. So, again, Heupel, on behalf of all the other college football coaches, go, no way. We're not starting a new trend here. We're already out of control with college football. And they all say, look, college kids should get paid. That's not what this is about. This is not saying kids shouldn't get paid. We've already crossed to that side of the road. That's a thing. We're happening. So what we're not going to have is like strategic holdouts and no-shows for practice and spring games, and that we can't go down this road. The chaos has got to get contained into certain time periods of the year. That's crazy. So this is going to happen again, and I think this is only beginning. I think it's going to happen at more inopportune times. Like, for example, let me spitball here. What if Julian Sayin and his agent at Ohio State decide a week before the Texas-Ohio State game, the season opener, that, you know what? We need some more money. Got the team over a barrel here a little bit. We've been working all summer. I'm ready to be the starting quarterback. Well, I need more money. I'm not going to play the Texas game. I know it sounds preposterous, but a few years ago, skipping practice and saying, I want $4 million sounded preposterous. It's a thing now. What if Bryce Underwood at Michigan decided before the week 2 game against Oklahoma that his $12.5 million contract no longer sets the market? And he wants Michigan to talk to the owner of Oracle, who's their booster, get an extra $3 million. That won't happen specifically with that kid and that school, but something like that's going to happen. Got to squish it now if you're the coaches. And that's what Josh Heupel said. No way. Not doing it. Get out of here. So it will happen. We will talk about this more further. So as Tennessee tells Nico to pound sand, certainly a talent of his nature would get snapped up right away in the transfer portal. And maybe he will. You know, we're just now in the open spring transfer portal, just opened up. And a quick list of potentially interested schools. You can cobble them together. You kind of figure out some of them are Big Ten teams. USC, UCLA, they got mentioned because Nico's from California. In fact, he played high school ball in Southern California. And maybe Maryland. They really need a quarterback. Maybe they'll jump in here. So I think there are a few Big Ten teams that might be interested in him. However, I saw a lot of interesting reports over the weekend that schools in and out of the Big Ten, we're not interested in his services. I'm like, whoa, he's a very talented quarterback. You know how desperate teams are for good quarterbacks. And he is talented. Averaged over 200 yards passing per game through 19 touchdowns, completed 64% of his passes. A lot of teams could use that. But USC, for one, reportedly is saying no thanks. They are sticking with Jaden Maeva and Hussein Longstreet and Sam Hewart. Non-conference schools like Notre Dame and Colorado are saying no thank you. Deion Sanders even tweeted out about these rumors that maybe Nico would be going to Colorado. Deion tweeted out, not true. God bless. We good. We good means that we have Liberty transfer Caden Salter and 5-star recruit Julian Lewis at quarterback. We good. Ultimately, numerous teams are desperate for a good quarterback. And, you know, now all of a sudden a starter for an SEC team that made the playoffs is available. So Nico's going to find a school. He's going to land a starting job, and he's going to get his money. It's going to happen. And by the way, this transfer portal opening right now is open for about a week and a half. That's just when you have to announce that your services are available. It doesn't mean you have to sign. You can sign the day before the season if you want. You can go through the summer. A team could have an injury at a starting quarterback. A lot of things can happen. So I don't know if this gets dragged. And they'll give him more time to negotiate whatever kind of money he wants with his agent. So I don't know that anything's going to happen by tomorrow. I would be surprised if it were anything quick, but we'll see. Especially if teams have already finished their spring ball. There's no rush to get them signed before you start the fall practice. So the summer practice. So the kid leaving the transfer portal, you could look at it as simple as this, that Nico is just a kid, was at a school. He doesn't want to be there anymore. He goes to the transfer portal and he's looking for another school and lets all the other schools know. Oh, last time I checked, over 2,000 kids had done that. No big deal right there. But the manner in which he went about it, trying to blackmail his coaches and ultimately holding, and his teammates on all that and and holding out. That's a move that college football should not condone. I don't think they're gonna, either outwardly or privately. And based on Josh Heupel's reaction and the reaction to Heupel's reaction from other coaches, I'm thinking that college football may have a little backbone here and going to say, you know what, Nico, we got to send a message here. I'm thinking in order to prevent this pro style of negotiation from further ruining college football, that other coaches are going to take this approach that Josh Heupel did at Tennessee and say, you know what, we're not putting up with this. We don't want this. So I'm thinking we might see college football teach players a lesson here, trying to re-grab some of the leverage of this negotiation and how to conduct business in the future. And Nico Iamaleava may get shunned here. Going to be interesting. We'll pay attention to this. And obviously, if any Big Ten teams jump in to that as well. Hey, be sure to subscribe for free. Hit that free subscribe button. You'll never miss an episode. Don't forget, you early morning commuters out there, we have an audio-only podcast on Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. That's available 2 hours even earlier than we send out our video podcast each and every day. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. That's the number 10, talkbig10.com, where we have all of our podcasts chronologically, and we also group them by school. And also we have links to merchandise. You want to buy some Ohio State t-shirts, some Michigan hats, some Oregon pennants for your wall, coffee mug, all right there at talkbig10.com. Check that out. So while we're speaking of Ohio State briefly just a second ago and Julian Sayin, so they had their spring game at Ohio State this weekend. Julian Sayin did all right. So the reports of his demise and his strugglings throughout the spring may have been a bit premature. We got thoughts on that, plus our top 10 Big Ten observations coming up over from the weekend. That's all right here on Locked On Big Ten. You check your checkbook, your balance, your bank account. You go, man, where did all that money go? I just got paid on Friday. It's Monday. It's all gone. Dining out, online shopping. Monarch Money is what you need to help keep track of everything. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is just a budgeting app, although it can do that. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, your investments, spending all in one place, and you stop just managing your money, but you start building wealth. A lot of great insights there. And instead of juggling multiple apps, so I have to pay this credit card with this app and my bank app here, pull it all together. Pull it all together in one place. And your spouse or significant other, pull their accounts together. So it's all in one place if you want. So you can take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Again, at Monarch Money. Well, thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And check out our website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go, and you can get your favorite team merchandise there as well. All right, Ohio State football, spring game. Where we're going to have it, where we're not going to have it. Yeah, we're going to have it. It was this weekend. 40,000 people, paid attendance, showed up to watch and look at the new defending national champions, see what they look like. By the way, they gave out the rings, championship rings. More on that in a moment. So I thought it capped off a pretty productive spring, and Ryan Day's team got out fairly unscathed without any major injuries, which he's always worried about, and they ended up playing their scrimmage, which turned into a spring game, and a point system for defense, and offense scored its normal points, all that kind of stuff. But what we saw was redshirt freshman Julian Sayin. He played well. All right, we heard all spring that he was struggling and he was not going to be QB1 and all sorts of worry and consternation. Well, looks like he took a big step up. Nobody was named starting quarterback yet. That was not going to happen anyway, no matter how well anybody played. But a lot of people started to compare Julian Sayin's performance to the spring when CJ Stroud kind of crossed over into being, oh, that's going to be the guy. Turning the corner. Sayin was 14 of 20 in the first half for 165 yards and a touchdown. He had three touchdown drives. Had a 25-yard throw over the middle to tight end Max Clare for a TD. That's the new tight end transfer from Purdue. Purdue was a bad football team last year, but they had a couple of good players, Dylan Thieneman, who went to Oregon in their secondary, and Max Clare. And we talked about Max Clare last week. He was a player that, hey, man, why are you going to Ohio State? They throw the ball to wide receivers. You tight end, you're not going to catch a lot of balls there. And he's like, look, I already know I can catch. I want to work on my blocking schemes and get myself to be a well-rounded tight end, get myself ready for the NFL. That's why he transferred there. But anyway, he made a nice touchdown catch, so that's all good. And Mylan Graham out there, yeah, he dropped a touchdown fade pass, but he did have a touchdown, 4 catches, 104 yards, and the wide receiver train just keeps on rolling at Ohio State. So Mylan Graham, look for him to step up this year. And again, there was a lot of excitement for Julian Sayin out there, but all spring we heard it was going to be Lincoln Kienholz, who's been there for 3 years. He's a grinder, man. He was a 4-star recruit out of high school in 2022. A lot of people wanted him. So he goes to Ohio State, and, a lot of times the quarterback room is so full, guys can't make it. Joe Burrow, perfect example. So, yeah, I'm not going to crack the starting lineup here at Ohio State. Let me transfer to LSU. Won undefeated, won a national championship. Now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Lincoln Kienholz, but he stayed. I thought every year he would transfer out, but he hasn't, because he sits there and he fights for his job. Kyle McCord came and went. Devin Brown came and went. Will Howard came and went. All these guys were higher than him in the depth chart, but now he thinks maybe I got a chance. I got 3 years under my belt now. I'm into my 3rd year in this system. Let me take on this young quarterback and see what happens. And he was 12 of 18 for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns. Certainly didn't hurt himself. True freshman Tavian St. Clair got a lot of playing time on Saturday. 11 of 15 for 116 yards, a touchdown. 2 picks, though. Wide receiver Jeremiah Smith. We talked about him on Friday's podcast. Go back and check it out, because he's trying to work on his vocal leadership. And a good locker room guy. It wasn't anything critical. It was just, that's what he's trying to do. The team has called him out a little bit. Hey, I want you to be a more vocal leader out here. You want to, obviously the best player on the field. And he's like, cool. He's like, I'm working on it. He was out there for just a couple of series. We wondered if he would even, be out for a couple of series. I think that was it. And no surprise there. They didn't want to risk injury with him. Running backs need to be replaced. Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins are going to the NFL. They'll be drafted. So true freshman Bo Jackson. I love saying running back Bo Jackson. He's not related to that Bo Jackson, though. But he did have 13 carries for 88 yards on Saturday. Redshirt freshman Sam Williams-Dixon, also 11 carries, 64 yards, also hauled in a 24-yard touchdown pass. So that's good if you can catch out of the backfield. And overall, the overall score of the day, offense versus defense, it was 50-31. They did a point system for the defense. A sack was worth this much, or tackle, or interception, all that. 50-31. So I don't know. I don't know whether it was great defense or not. Fahim Delane and Inky Jones were the 2 defenders that got interceptions off St. Clair. So I always like to mention them. And I'm going to mention them again. We got our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend coming up in just a minute. But a lot of people, including Will Howard, were on hand. They all got their national championship rings, so that was a cool moment. We got about 140 days until we open up the season against Texas. and the college football season gets underway. Elsewhere around the Big Ten, by the way, Buckeyes fans, if you were there, I would love to hear your comments on YouTube about what you thought. Bad news for Jonathan Smith and Michigan State football. You know, their class of 2025, all right, we're ranked 40th in recruiting, somewhere around there. All right, they're in the mix. 2026 class, four-star legacy recruit Gregory Patrick is not coming to Michigan State, even though he's a legacy guy, son of former offensive lineman Joseph Patrick. Decided to go to Notre Dame. What are you going to do? He was also considering Michigan. I got to know from Wisconsin, spring football, sophomore Kevin Haywood. He's rising in the ranks, expected to start at left tackle as a sophomore, replacing longtime starter Jack Nelson. There's a three-way battle for the starting position at right guard. That needs to be ironed out. But hey, one way or the other, it's good for depth there on the front line. And a little bit bad news for Penn State basketball. You know, they had a bad enough year as it is, right? But big man Miles Goodman is transferring out. I know he didn't put up a lot of stats. He averaged like 1 point, 1 rebound a game. He only played in 13 games. He was hurt earlier. But he was like the third highest rated recruit in Penn State basketball history. So, I mean, let's let the kid develop a little bit. But he's leaving. And what's making it worse, he's staying in the Big Ten and going elsewhere. He's going to Oregon. So good for Oregon. He's a Seattle native, and he played ball in SoCal and just back on the West Coast, one of those kind of deals. But yeah, he was a top recruit in 2024. Also, back to Ohio State for a moment. Congratulations to the Buckeyes for clinching a share of the Big Ten men's tennis championship. 19th consecutive regular season title following their 4-0 win at Northwestern on Saturday. They can win the conference outright with a win at home over Indiana on Friday. 19 years in a row. How about that? All right, coming up, we got our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. You know, Mondays, we always do our top 10 observations from the weekend. Tuesdays, tomorrow, we'll have our Tuesday tweets. Hit me up on X. I'll put them on the podcast. Wednesdays, we love to power rank stuff. That's cool. Thursdays, we look ahead to the Big Ten Network, their programming, and we highlight weekend programming of Big Ten classics and live action. And Friday, we make our picks of any games that are going on. But coming up, my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. We'll see if my list matches yours. That's next right here on Locked on Big Ten. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, SupplyHouse is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product information to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? SupplyHouse offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real human being. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com. All right, then we're going to take a look now at my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. I'll share them with you, see if my list matches your list. If you're audio only, I'll describe what we have here on screen so you can check this out. We'll start it off with Ohio State tennis. I just mentioned this a minute ago. I mean, think about that. 19 straight conference titles. 19 years. Going back to 2006, right? Is my math check out? Yeah. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So that's a great streak. Though I mentioned them. Also, Michigan lacrosse this weekend. They beat Rutgers. I think it was 8-6. They face Ohio State for the Big Ten championship outright. So that's coming up next. Keep an eye on that. And shout out to Oregon baseball. They had to sweep of Minnesota over the weekend to remain in a first place tie in the Big Ten. So congratulations to them. At number 7, I do this in the regular season. I'm going to do it in the spring. I'm going to give Inky Jones. First of all, I love the name Inky Jones. I'm going to give Inky Jones some credit for that interception of the Tavian St. Clair pass in the spring game for Ohio State. And if I'm going to give him credit, I got to give Fahim Delane credit for his interception as well. Those were the 2 interceptions on the day. And we always love to highlight stuff like that here on Locked On Big Ten. Again, we'll do that in the regular season too. It's going to be all Ohio State the rest of the way from the spring game here. At number 5, Ohio State's Sam Williams-Dixon, running back. Not only did he rush 11 times for 64 yards, showed some versatility, could catch out of the backfield. Ohio State always likes it if, they like the 2 running backs system, but they like it if one of them can catch out of the backfield. Looks like that Sam Williams-Dixon with a 24-yard touchdown catch there. And we got Bo Jackson. Nice day. We mentioned his stats just a minute ago, 88 yards rushing on the day. Elsewhere at number 3, again, our top 10 Big Ten observations of the weekend. Tight end Max Clare. He's the Purdue transfer we were talking about earlier. Going to be a good blocker and pass receiver when used. I mean, look, when you wide receivers like Jeremiah Smith and you got Mylan Graham, who we'll talk about in a minute. You got some guys that can catch the ball out there. You typically throw a lot to tight ends at Ohio State, but he's ready to go. At number 2, I just mentioned Mylan Graham. I had 4 catches, 104 yards, found the end zone. This is a guy to keep an eye on, I think. And then at number 1, my number 1 top 10 Big Ten observation from the weekend, Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin, redshirt freshman. Did he do enough to get a leg up on QB1 at Ohio State? I don't know. I don't think Ryan Day had any intention whatsoever of naming a starting quarterback coming out of the spring football. By the way, the Buckeyes are going to the White House this week too. But I think a little sigh of relief for some people that, hey, all right, this kid looks like he can play. He can be the guy. People could envision him being the starter based on what they saw this weekend. So Julian Sayin, number 1, after reportedly a semi-tough spring, pull it all together for the spring game. That'll be great momentum for him and for the Ohio State Buckeyes through the summer as they get ready for the season, which I think, like I said, is 139, 140 days away, something like that. So great. We got more spring games coming up here this week. We'll get into it. I know Michigan's is coming up on Saturday as well. Although we mentioned you won't be seeing it live on the Big Ten Network because they don't want anybody watching and poaching and stealing in the transfer portal. It's going to be like a whole nother 8 days afterward before it airs on the Big Ten Network. So be it. That's the new day and age that we live in here. There are many ways for you to interact with this podcast. You can hit us up on X or Twitter at Talk Big Ten. That's the number 10, Talk Big Ten. Tomorrow we got Tuesday tweets. Hit me up with a tweet tonight. If it's good, we'll put it on. Don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. That's also with the number 10. All of our podcasts go there chronologically, and we also group them by schools and links to buy merchandise from your favorite team if you want it. Be sure to subscribe for free right here. Click that button before you go, and you'll never miss an episode of Locked On Big Ten. And don't forget Early Morning Commuters, earlier podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, audio only, even 2 hours early. I think like 4 in the morning. You got an early morning commute, you want a voice, sit with you in the car, right here, Locked On Big Ten. Also, we invite you to tell your friends about us, that we're here each and every day. This is the only podcast in the world that does Big Ten, all 18 teams, all the sports. Plus, in addition to the news, we give you analysis and opinion. That's the big part here. And some give and take with you guys as well on the opinion part. I always invite you to go back and check out a previous podcast as well. You can go back on Friday. We did it on one on Jeremiah Smith. He's trying to work on his leadership skills. Thursday, we talked about where the Michigan Wolverines are talented enough to go all the way, like for real. So go hit that up if you want to check that out for a second listen. Or I invite you to do a second listen with our Locked On NFL Draft friends with Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez. as your favorite college, and Big Ten players are getting ready to be drafted in the NFL. They're all over it. So find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. That'll do it for us here today. Can't wait to get rolling through this week. Still talking spring football and any news out there. We're all over it with a lot of fun here. So check us out. Tell your friends about us. Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.